Hey everybody, and welcome back to the newly named Tubi Thursday. Here on Horror Film Lovers. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I'm here with
Anna Xaden.
Ana Xaden, and we are back, and we are going to be talking about Wolf Hollow.
Oops.
Wolf Hollow, man. I am so this is a movie I've been dying to see, and I hadn't seen yet. Like I didn't watch it before today. And I've been dying to see it because a lot of people I know are in this movie. And some I they're listed in the movie, but I didn't recognize them necessarily, I guess. Like did you recognize Mark D. Valenti in there? He was one of the cops.
No.
He was a deputy.
Huh, no.
It said that, I
Wow.
think. I think, or at least somebody was maybe I'm wrong. Uh this is
Maybe
really
he was
bad.
one
Where
of the cops that was in the dark in the police station.
I think so. Yeah,
Because some of them you
deputy.
couldn't see very well.
He was Deputy Valenti, which I never heard anybody address him. So I was
No.
like waiting around, and I don't know. Um, and another thing was like another thing that confused me was like, I feel like there was too many sheriffs,
Yeah.
right? Like there was a little bit too many sheriffs. Like there was a sheriff, and one sheriff, and there was like deputy sheriffs, but then there was like another. I think there was another sheriff.
Yeah.
Did what? I
It's a
don't know.
lot.
I don't know what happened with that, but like it got very confusing. I was like, wait, who's in charge? Like, and so like that just yeah, and there was no addressing of that, like,
Of who was in charge. See, I
yeah.
figured it was the person that the lady,
I
I
thought it was
think
the
it's the
lady
lady.
too, and I think
Yeah.
her like name was like Sheriff Buck or something. But like
Something.
it got a
Yeah.
little confusing. So, but then there
Yeah.
was like I looked it up on IMDb. And I think there's like another person listed as sheriff, like
Hmm.
a guy
Sounds
listed
like,
as sheriff.
sounds like my hometown.
Too many people. I mean, Sheriff Thompson. So there's a Sheriff Thompson and a Sheriff Buck, I
Hmm.
think was the name. Yeah. So like, I got really confused. Like, wait, who's like, the sheriff? I don't know. Yeah, because there's the girl, Sheriff Buck. There's two sheriffs in this movie. What? Like I got very confused. So like I was looking at the IMDb and then I was like watching the movie and I'm like, I don't know. So it it was a little weird on that.
Yeah.
Then I didn't understand really like the town, you know?
Hmm.
Like I didn't understand. So this town has werewolves? Like
Well, over parts of it, like the farther into it, it seemed like everybody in the town was with the werewolves, except for the sheriffs.
like except for the cops
Yeah.
who were like I guess they didn't want like the people fighting, the
Yeah.
wolves fighting.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. And then the beginning of the movie starts with a what is it? Bonfire kind of
Yeah.
thing. And and then the wolf attack. Was
Yeah.
that like right before this happens, or is this like was this another
See, they
time?
never touched down on that part. It's just like, hey, here's a party. Okay, we're going to the town now.
Which is fine because you get a lot of horror films that start with an opening kill scene, and
Mhm.
like that's what I feel, but usually like that fits into the rest of the story, and that like it's never like mentioned again or anything, and there's nothing to do
Yeah.
with them. Like I mean, if you were to connect this, it would have been like the group of filmmakers are going there because there was like a brutal murder that happened there.
Mhm.
They can't
Yeah.
do that if they have the one guy bringing them there that is part of the family, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm just like, I mean, why did they not like why weren't they happy that he was going and doing, like especially there's that one part where he's talking the one guy, the brother is talking to Felissa Rose's character who I'm not sure what relation she is, if she was a sister or if she was a cousin
See,
or
I think maybe a sister because the sheriff said something about come get your brother
to
after
Felissa.
saying Eve and
Evie.
uh
Evie, I love that.
Evie.
Loved
Yes.
her.
Yes.
She was
But
great.
when she was a wolf, they called her and the other guy, the brother, out
Okay.
and told him come get him after she shot the guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I got that sort of,
yes.
but it was still a little confusing. Because
Yes.
there was like three or four wolves, kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
it got a little bit too much. But yeah, I love Felissa Rose, and I absolutely loved Lynn Lowry.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite like role that she's done like independently. Obviously she's been an actress for a long time, so her
Yeah.
stuff with like David Cronenberg and stuff like that, she's been amazing. But like this, she just had so much fun. You could tell, and I loved it. Um, so aside, so yeah, and then what is it? So she was getting, oh man, Spencer, aka Spooky Madison. I don't know if this is like one of her first roles or whatnot, acting wise. I think maybe. But she did a wonderful job. We were
Oh
talking
yeah,
about her
definitely.
before the thing, and she just killed it as Twyla, like the
Oh
assistant.
yeah.
I was I was laughing so hard when Lynn Lowry was like, Twyla, and she's just like, oh, and I felt for her there. She had to go to the trailer and help the girl out and the lady out who was being very diva-like, you know.
Yeah.
Very over dramatic at one point when
Oh
um
man, the bathroom part.
which part?
The part in the RV where she's talking about the porcelain toilet.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. But when she like so they go there and she falls down and off like a cliff, I guess. Like
I think, yeah, I think so. She fell down like a hole in the cliff, it looked like, because they were
something.
looking down on her and it was dark in there, but not dark enough to where you couldn't see the bone snapped.
Mm, um,
Yeah, like, oh, that's pretty nice.
and pretty gnarly. And then the one girl had to like crush him
Yeah.
back and everything. Oh, and she's like she said something like, you forgot too, you asshole or something like that. Like she was funny. I liked her in
Yeah.
that. I liked all the actors. I think all the
Mhm.
actors did a fantastic job portraying what they were, you know?
Mhm.
Um I feel like the direction, like, to go back to the cliff, I was like, there's a cliff there? Like it looked
Well, see, they warned them about it
right. They were like, hey,
before they
stop,
went
stop.
out there.
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
kept telling her to stop, keep
Yeah.
going backwards. And then she went backwards and fell down and broke her, whatever. But like it just got very confusing. And I think it's a lot of it's because a lot of it takes place sort of in the twilight time where
Mhm.
it's like about to be dark or whatever
Yeah.
kind of like time, it's getting dark and you're saying it's so funny because the lighting is a little off where at one point they're like it's about to be dark and I'm like it looks like it already is dark, you know.
Yeah.
Like so yeah, so they end up but they end up getting her, her fixed and then she gets shot,
Yeah.
when
Oh, right in the eye.
but
That
but
was some good makeup.
yeah,
Very good makeup. And I loved when she said something at the end. I was like, wow, that's just like me when I get hurt.
like
Say
she's
something
still
before it happens. Yeah.
she's still
And
talking as
I'll
she's
have sex
dying.
with.
What'd she say?
She said something about I'm gonna have sex with, and then oh.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
so funny.
Oh
I
yeah.
and see that's a role for like Lynn Lowry. Like she once again she came in and she just played that to a T. So I love that.
Yeah. She
Felissa
did great.
Rose, Felissa Rose did the same thing. Sh I think Felissa got really excited with this because she got to yell and
Hmm.
she got to be like aggressive and she got to probably play because you know everybody sort of knows her as Angela from Sleepaway Camp and
Yeah.
other roles that she's played. And so when she gets to play somebody probably different than her or different than characters she's played, she gets really excited and does it
Hmm.
like 100%. I actually wish that there had been more of most of those actors.
Yeah.
And I absolutely adored Christina Krakowski, who's the main girl in it.
Hmm.
She was wonderful. I guess she
Yeah.
was the main girl because there was no real main person, I don't think
Yeah. The
necessarily.
final girl, right?
She was, but like I don't think there was like she was the producer that was
Hmm.
dating the guy that was
Yeah.
the werewolf. And
Yeah.
did she not know he was a werewolf?
I don't think anybody knew except his family.
Right. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how do you
Because none
hide
of the
that
friends, they
from
all look kind of shocked.
and are these aren't this isn't a typical werewolf thing, right? There was no full moon. And they could just transfer whenever
No,
they
they
felt
never
like
showed the
transferring.
sky.
No, they could just become a werewolf whenever they felt like it, which is fine
Yeah.
because that is a take on werewolfism, I guess, but
Mhm.
it just it just gets too convenient, you know? Like, oh, I could just wolf out whenever I feel like it, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like
whenever
a
I
mat.
get I'm mad.
Grow the claws.
Exactly. Like the one dude, the brother was just like, you know, you're getting me angry. And I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, oh, he's hulking.
yeah, he's hulking. He's like, you don't want to see me when I'm angry, you know. And
Yeah,
yeah.
when he like snapped his hands like that, I said, oh, it's happening.
I was sad when most of the characters, like most of the people died, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever the characters died. I was like, damn, you know, like I like that person, but you know,
Yeah.
they should have lived up until the end and maybe died, but giving them some more time. But there's only so many people they could put in that group, you know, and I mean, I like I said, I think everybody had a did the best job they possibly could as actors,
Yeah.
you know, and everything. Like I don't think there was any ones I was like cringing when I saw some indie films. Like I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but some of the acting is so atrocious that you're just like, oh God, you know, what am I watching? Um,
Yeah.
but there
Like
was
even when I act and stuff, I'm super critical of myself. I'm like,
uh,
oh, that's horrible. And everybody's like, no, it wasn't. So,
it's a lot better
but
than you
there are
think,
some
but
movies that some people don't get told they're horrible and they're horrible.
yeah, and they keep doing it, you know,
Yeah.
and
But in this film, it was, they all
top
knew their
notch.
parts.
Uh,
Hmm?
they're top notch. They all did a great
Yeah,
job.
definitely.
I, I was happy. I was kind of hoping, this sounds terrible. I was kind of hoping the guy named Lucky would die because then somebody could be like, I guess he wasn't so lucky, you know, right? Um, but there was none of that. You know, he did survive, you know. Um, if you're mad at me for spoiling this, you should go watch it on Tubi like we did.
Yeah.
Um,
It was Lucky the guy without the arms.
yeah, which I thought he
Okay.
had arms.
I don't. The arms disappeared, and then I think he had the wolf gene in him, or whatever it is, the wolf virus,
Yep.
and his arms grew back, and he's like, "I'm invincible."
Oh yeah, he's like, well, he was like, I guess he
Yeah,
got bit. He said he got bit.
but yeah, he got bit or scratched or something, and his arms grew back in the hospital or wherever that was. And I was like, "Hey, his arms are back."
And you know, you can tell this is a crowd-funded film because there's, you know, a lot of people like we got our buddy Rudy Ledbetter, who I love, you know, doing a little bit. You've got some radio, people doing radio stuff, and or television, you know, like parts and everything. And then we watch the movie, there's all these like special thanks and
Mm.
producers and all that stuff. And you're like, yep, this is like, even if you didn't know, like when you originally watched it, you knew at the end of it that this was a crowdfunder, which
Yeah.
it I mean, it got made, it got put out, it's out there in the world. I
Hmm.
mean, that's awesome. Just once again, I think my biggest issues with the movie is how confusing things were, how there were probably way too many characters, and
Yeah.
especially the cops. Now I love movies that have cops. Like I
Hmm.
write movies that have cops, but like all my cops have like names and
Hmm.
they chat and like you can tell what individual they are, that kind of thing. This movie a little too confused, too many people, and and trying to give everybody stuff to do becomes a problem.
Hmm.
So it I saw somebody talking about how like on a review that like it was a little bit too talky, and I like talky movies, so it didn't bother me, but I can see why that would be an issue, you know.
Yes.
Um but aside, yeah, and then we talked about earlier sound. And sometimes it's a streaming issue. Like,
Hmm.
like when they code it, it comes out wrong and whatnot. I don't know. Sometimes it's a filming issue. Like
Hmm.
they weren't able to get uh the sound close enough or something or
Yeah.
whatnot, you know. I have to deal with that stuff myself too. So I don't know. It it was bad, but it didn't. Tubi has subtitles, so
Hmm.
that really made the day for me. So if I missed something somebody said, it was written, so I didn't have to rewind and turn it up or anything. I don't know if you
Hmm.
watched it with the subtitles or not.
No, I didn't even know there were subtitles.
You should, yeah. Next time
Thank
you
you for
watch
letting
it,
me know. Yes,
next
definitely, because I had such a time hearing them when they were outside.
Yeah, and there were times where they spoke really low,
Yes.
and then the subtitle told me what they said, so I was like, all
Hmm.
right. Um, you know, there it was it was an interesting movie. I know this isn't
Hmm.
Mark Cantu's first movie. He's done a few other ones before this. But I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff of his and what he's and
Yeah.
whatnot. See what else he's making. And I hope people see this movie because I really do think it's a well done movie. I just think
Yeah. It was
it
fun.
I think if the sound had been a little better,
Hmm.
because a lot of people can't forgive that. Like
Yeah.
they
Like
watch
I'll
it,
sit there and I'll pull the thing up if to me back and forth for the volume, but it's like I had it all the way up on my tablet and it still wasn't loud enough to hear what they were saying. So if I would have known there were subtitles, I totally would have done that. But
mm,
I haven't watched subtitles since I came to America. So
nice.
yeah, need to get back into it. But there came
Yeah,
a time that I needed it for certain movies.
I'm deaf in my left ear, so I love freaking subtitles. Subtitles really save the day for me because sometimes I really can't hear what somebody says, and
Uh
even if it's close and even if it's loud, sometimes I still can't. So
yeah.
it's just always good to have them. I always have them on. I get really mad when like a good show, like I think like Law and Order SVU doesn't have subtitles or something like something like that.
Hmm.
Something like that doesn't have subtitles. It drives me nuts. I'm like, it's not that hard,
Yeah.
to put up subtitles. So
Yeah.
maybe they do. I'm just using that as an example of
Hmm.
like when it's a Hollywood movie or TV show. When it's an indie movie, I can almost sort of be okay with them not having subtitles because it's indie, you know?
Yeah.
Like
True.
that's an extra fee that they probably have to pay. And if they're just,
Yeah.
you know,
I could see that.
but yeah, I would definitely put the subtitles on Tubi now, from now on. I would.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I
I
remember
did.
you saw it before I did, and you said you really liked it,
Yeah.
and that got me excited because we generally have the same same thing. So
Yeah.
not exactly sure what we're doing. See if I wrote it down, what we're doing next.
Oh, one thing I thought about with this one too is the ending where they were getting in the cop cars to take them or to take the girl elsewhere, and they looked out and there's the three kids snarling at the car. That kind of makes it seem like there could be a sequel,
Well, I mean,
but
yes.
I don't know. Like with
And
the rest of the townspeople, maybe.
and I was kind of disappointed. This seemed like this would be a great TV show.
I could
And
see that.
right? And it's called Wolf Hollow. It's got a TV show title kind of thing.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot. You hear names of like the town and the idea of like a town filled with werewolves
Mhm.
and people have to just deal with these people every day,
Yeah.
or whatever. And then maybe by the end of the first season, some of the werewolves, are killed, or
Mhm.
whatever. But of course, when you're an independent film thing, you just want to get the first movie done and then set up for like the sequel and another movie and whatnot. And it just would have been cooler had this been a television show or something. I
Yeah, it would have
could
been
have
cool.
expanded a little bit more, and and the cops would have been fleshed out, I think, a little bit more.
Hmm.
Like you would get to know them, because that's the other thing I don't like. A lot of there was three different I'm gonna say three different sort of worlds that were all entangled. There was cop world, there was the werewolf world, and then there was the movie shoot people world. Which
Yeah.
what were they necessarily filming?
I don't know. That was never clear.
Because they kept
They
saying
just said that they
scout.
were going to the scare house.
Well, no, originally they said apparently they said they weren't going to the scare house. They didn't
Hmm.
want to go to the scare house. They were going to the trail. There was like some
Oh,
trail. And
yeah.
yeah, and that's where the cliff or whatever it was, well,
Hmm.
that she fell down. But uh they and they kept talking about the scare house. And
Hmm.
and then I saw at one point they actually like promoted the scare house because it had like something.com, on
Hmm.
it. And I was like, is this like being funded by the scare house, which we're not even gonna see, like
Yeah.
they're just gonna talk about it. Which actually I thought that would make a great idea. I think they've probably already done those a million times, but great
Hmm.
idea with, a was it sort of uh scare houses, that are actually like maybe werewolves or vampires or something actually are inside. Because we
Yeah.
got serial killers, but what if it's not a slasher, it's a like the vampires are running a scare house and actually killing the people in there, and whatnot. That could
That'd
be
be
sort of
cool.
that would be interesting. After a
Yeah.
while, though, not many people go visit, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I mean, I thought it had some really good potential stuff. I just feel like because of the budget and because of the uh like it feels like this could have been a bigger project than what it
Mhm.
was. Like a high concept, you know. And I feel like had they had more budget and a lot of times I'll be like this. Paul says this on Indie Film Cafe all the time. We had a bigger budget for if we had money to give these people to make a bigger, we would love to do that because
Mhm.
I feel and like that's what they should be remaking, you know like remaking not bad movies
Yeah.
necessarily, but movies that could have been better had they had a
Yeah.
bigger budget, you
Yep.
know instead of just remaking a good movie and trying to make it just as good, because
Hmm.
like nobody ever really there's not many remakes that are better than the original.
No.
The Thing, I would say maybe, but aside from that, there's not many. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's the thing. If they could remake like this movie, if somebody had $2 million and said, "Mark, here you go, $2 million. Let's make a bigger Wolf Hollow or make a TV show out of it or
Hmm.
something." I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I think that would be but unfortunately I don't have that kind of money.
Hmm.
Otherwise I'd probably be using it for some of my projects.
Yeah.
But I do love the fact that they went out and they made this movie. They put all their heart and soul into it, and it
Hmm.
it is what it is. It's a film that is a lot of fun at times, and then sometimes it's got a couple little issues, you know.
Yeah.
But all in all, I really enjoyed it. Like a thumbs up for me.
Yeah. Same here.
It's a thumbs up for you. All right, I'm hoping we don't run across ones that we're both giving thumbs down to.
Yeah.
I'm like worried about that because some movies, I mean, despite their limitations, some aren't great, and we got to be as honest as we can, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
so anyway, join us next week for a brand new episode. We're really excited, can't wait, and for you guys to check this out. Until then, everybody, have a good one. Thank
Bye
you, Anna.
bye. Thank
Bye.
you.